Bill Conley on the live line. Bill, I'll tell you, we're streaking toward the Clemson game. I got to ask, given your expertise as a recruiter, when you just look at the talent on the field, I mean, forget about game planning right now. Forget about all the wrinkles, all the schemes, all that stuff. When you just look at the cold, hard talent, Clemson, Ohio State, what do you see and who do you think has the better players?
Well, the one word you want to use, Joel, obviously is speed. They're faster than NASCAR taking off. These guys can run. I mean, they're going to be flying around the field. Both teams are loaded with skilled athletes, and not just one or two guys. I'm talking about half a dozen guys at least that have special talents that way. And I think this game is going to be a fast game. At the same time, it might not be as high scoring as you might think because a lot of that speed's on defense too.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, you look at Joel's talking about talent, you're talking about speed. I believe I saw the stat this week that sending players to the National Football League, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, 1, 2, 3 over the last 5 years. So these guys that everybody's going to be watching on Saturday night, there's a whole lot of guys. Kind of reminds me of, Bill, in 2002 when you guys won the national championship, Ohio State over Miami. That team, both teams were loaded with guys that you saw in the NFL. I have a feeling we're going to realize that a couple years down the road. Man, remember all that talent that Saturday night in that semifinal game.
Oh, exactly right. Wouldn't it be great if we could funnel all that talent to Cincinnati and Cleveland? Wouldn't that be wonderful? We can get a team out of it somehow.
Yeah, maybe some Ohio professional team at least be successful. That would be nice.
Hilarious.
Yes. Yeah,
hilarious. When you look at the guys on the field, the guy I'm going to be watching more than anybody, Bill, is J.K. Dobbins, and my sense is that the award season kind of comes and goes, and guys around him are getting accolade and getting the this guy's award, that guy's award, and got to go to the Heisman and all that stuff. And J.K.'s just kind of sitting there. He's like, I had a pretty good year. I feel like the chip on his shoulder might be as big or bigger than anybody else on the team.
Well, I think you're right. You look at the two best running backs maybe in the country. Didn't get any of the major awards. That's him and, of course, Taylor from Wisconsin. Both those guys are going to have something to prove in their bowl game, for sure.
Yeah, and Clemson running the football, too. Travis Etienne is a tremendous player. Who I don't know, Bill. I mean, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. They've got T. Higgins, one of the top wide receivers. Ohio State, obviously, we know where they're loaded. Getting back to Joel's question, talent-wise, offensively, where do you give Ohio State an edge? Is it Clemson's edge? What do you see?
I would think it's a pretty well-balanced offensively. Both are about the same. I think our defensive talent's a little bit better, a little bit faster. But I think the matchup, which you're kind of hitting at, is the wide receiver group, and that includes, of course, quarterback. He's 6'6", big tall guy. I think is our secondary. This will be the most tested we've ever been, and that's why we've got to get a great pass rush on their quarterback, and that's where guys like Chase Young have really got to come ready to play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When you look at our quarterback in that knee brace, are you concerned at all about Justin's mobility in this game?
No, I think now he's had it a couple weeks in practice with it, and he's probably a lot better than he was 2 weeks ago. It seems like it's been forever since we played a game. It hasn't been that long. But I think I tell you, I saw him move at practice right before they left, and he was moving around really good.
Is there a possibility now? We had Jeff Logan on last hour, and he mentioned talking about Justin Fields that the mobility question is out there. And Justin mentioned this week, I'm not quite where I should be, and he's wearing the big knee brace in practice. And Jeff kind of like his last comment, Joel, was like that. A lot of that could be smokescreen, and he's just fine. Do they play games like that? Would that be something Ohio State might do? Hey, Justin, because the practices are open. They have to have them open at least the first half hour for videoing them. Take me through that. Is there a discussion like let's make them think it's not as great as it is?
Oh, there's probably a little bit of that. It's a guy like Jim Brown used to be. He'd run the ball for about 14, 15 yards and limp back to the huddle, could barely get there. Boom, he hits one for 25. It's a little bit of what I call the limp leg syndrome, and I'm sure that a lot of that goes on.
I got you. So a little gamesmanship there, but, when you listen to the guys talk, like Chase Young. I mean, he's literally like my emphasis is on running down the quarterback. When you see what Clemson does on the offensive side of the ball, is that going to be enough? I mean, is it just Chase just trying to get to the quarterback? Is that going to be disruptive enough to get them off their game?
Well, Joel, the thing about this type of game, every possession is important. Every one of them. So first down production is going to be really important for both teams. You've got to keep the ball away from the other explosive offense. I mean, they got the same deal going on. So you got to make your possessions count. You got to get points on the board, or at least get great field position, make the other team go a long way.
There's a rhythm to the season, when it's the regular season, Bill, and, practice weeks and everything. With a bowl game, now this is way shorter than what traditionally we're used to because it's only 3 weeks. But how difficult is it from a coaching staff planning standpoint, making sure that your team Saturday night 8 o'clock foot hits ball is at its peak? Because a lot of times teams don't play as well in the bowl game as they have all year. How do you make sure that formula is right for your team to be ready on Saturday night?
Well, I think the first thing you said is really important. It is not as long a time span between games. That is really important. Coaches would much rather play the game in a shorter amount of time. And I think that one extra week has let people heal up so that they're at full potential, I think, is really important. So, it only takes believe me, they've broken down Clemson long before they ever want to play them. Mm-hmm. They broke down LSU long before they were going to play them, at least in terms of the graduate assistants getting all that stuff into the computer and all those things. So the game plan doesn't take that long. It's the execution, the being sharp, and of course the mental preparation is huge for this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. You talk about that, Bill. Out in the media world, we do things like, hey, Clemson, if they score first, they've won 50 in a row. So what do you Coach Day, you got to get on the board first and stuff like that. They don't really concern themselves with stuff like that, do they?
No, not at all. That's what I always say. History is for the past. And so that's past the best things that's happened. It's the moment, playing them in the moment, which I think these guys will be ready to go.
31-0, 3 years ago, 2016. Is that brought up with Ohio State's team, or is that, there are a handful of guys, Ben Victor, Austin Mag, there are a handful of guys that were on that team. Is that a topic of conversation at all, or is it all about this game?
No, I think it's a new decade. When I mean that, most of the players have not played in it, and so that's past history. I don't think you worry about that at all. This is a new game you're playing for. A lot of stakes on this one now. This is to get to the championship game. I don't think any of the things that happened in the past will affect it in any way.
I got it. Well, Bill, take her easy. We appreciate the time as always, and go Bucks. That's Bill Conley along with Matt McCoy here on News Radio 610 WTVN.